Hello and welcome to the Just Another Castle podcast. I'm your host, Matt, and with me this week is our resident gaming journalist, Eli.
Hey, I am in fact here for once. I showed up. I'm here.
It's
Um,
okay. You're making up for Mr. Uno Clay, who's halfway around the world in Australia, probably sweating himself to death.
you know, I feel like it's just showing a certain contempt for us that he decided to go to Australia instead of hopping on our podcast. He should have known. He should have been back in town by now. He knew this is a regular thing that we do, and really hanging us out to dry by going across the world to do that.
You just had to go the furthest possible place on Earth just to get away from us. I feel insulted.
Yep.
All right. So it'd probably be a shorter cast, but let's get on. We'll just start off with some news and stuff, or announcements, or whatever. It's all lumped into one because they're all short anyway. One thing, apparently Beat Saber might be getting a Switch port, just like yesterday or a day or 2 days ago. They were announcing something for the 7th this week, and someone on Twitter asked them if it's a Switch port, and they were being kind of coy with it, like, oh, we're kind of wanting to do something maybe, possibly in the future. So I'd like that'd be cool because I actually got to play it at I think I played it at my brother-in-law's place, but whatever. I got to play it again at EGLX, and that was fun. And I'm like, this would be fun to have. I'm not spending $1,000, and I also don't think I have a room to actually play it in. Plus, like Beat Saber is one of those VR games where like I think it would probably still work fine on Switch, like motion control wise. Like it's not, you don't really need any processing power, so
Yeah. Well, fortunately, we've got a VR unit now in our Switch that we can just use for Beat Saber, I'm sure.
yeah. But then I gotta buy Labo.
Yeah, well, it's better than paying $1,000 for one of those other headsets, huh?
That is true. That is true. Literally like 10 times less the price, or a tenth of the price. Um, yeah, and then going on, we'll just jump into Pokemon because I know you don't have too much time. So, Pokemon, we'll start somewhere, and I don't know where we're gonna go, but you want to start off with, so the games were data mined or leaked or whatever, where they showed all the Pokemon,
I think it
including
was a
the returned
stolen
ones.
copy. That's what it sounds
Yeah,
like. They
sorry, I don't
found
know
who
why I
did
said
it.
data mined, but I mean,
Yeah.
well, still, it's not like they played through the whole game and got all of them, right? Because they wouldn't be able to see the Pokedex naturally. So somehow, whatever, they went
Mhm.
into it, obviously stolen, and found out all the stuff that's there. And you want to talk about the returning Pokemon, so why don't you get into
Yeah,
that?
no, I mean we got a list of all the Pokemon coming back, and I didn't go through and check all the Pokemon because I didn't want to spoil it, and I actually have not been looking at a lot of these new Pokemon forms because I do want it to be a surprise. Um, but one of the things that I did see though was a chart, and it was like the percentage of each generation of Pokemon that was coming back. Um, and what I thought they would do is I thought they would bring back most of the old Pokemon, and then they would kind of phase out the newer gens, just because I feel like Gen 1 and Gen 3 are like so much more memorable than Gen 6 and 7. That might just be me. But they kind of did the opposite, and they brought back a decent chunk of 6 and 7 and only 30% of Gen 1. And this seemed really strange to me because you literally just had Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu come out, which kind of like revived that first gen. You had Pokemon Go just a few years ago, initially released, kind of revived the interest in Gen 1. All the marketing around Gen 1 has been geared towards like these young adults that grew up with Pokemon. And it's just stunning to me that they're just tossing out all these Pokemon that we love, who I don't know. So I think some people think the designs of the Pokemon are relatively unoriginal, because many of them just resemble regular animals, versus future generations which had more creative designs. But just on the whole nostalgia end, these are the Pokemon that many of us grew up with, and so it's just very strange to see that they're not going to be featured. I mean, obviously, the Pokemon devs said that they would be bringing back a lot of these Pokemon in future games, and like, don't worry about it, they're coming back, they're not all dead. But still, like seeing that only 50 Pokemon, 51 I think Pokemon are coming back for the first gen, it's like very surprising and kind of sad. Because I love Lickitung, and I didn't look at the list, but who knows? I don't even know if Lickitung's coming back. Like, how sad is that? How can you have a game without Lickitung? He's so memorable. He's Team Rocket's Pokemon.
He was in the
Like,
movie.
exactly. So it's just very surprising to me. Also, I think that if they're bringing back all the legendaries, which I don't know if they are, because once again, I didn't look at the list, it creates a really weird situation because essentially you're going to have like a disproportionately large number of legendary Pokemon if you think about it. Because usually every generation, whatever, like 5% of the Pokemon are legendaries. But if you're bringing back all the legendaries from every generation, but only like 30% of all the other Pokemon, that definitely creates a disproportionate number of legendaries, for whatever that's worth, which is kind of funny and interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm way more pissed about this than you are, Matt, but I wanted to air my grievances on air so that everyone knows where I stand on the issue.
It's an important issue to have a voice on, for sure. Yeah. I hear where you're coming from. I'm kind of on the opposite side where I think, like we've seen so much Gen 1, it's like, okay, let's move on to something a little else, which would be nice. Which they're sort of maybe doing, the Galar forms, they like actually did a regional variant that wasn't from Gen 1. But it is weird because, like you said, they just made, Pokemon Eevee and Pikachu to kind of revive it. And I think there's a bonus if you have like a save file of that, you get something in Sword and Shield. I forget what it is. I couldn't find it. I was looking it up. I know there's some sort of bonus. So it is kind of weird that there aren't as many. And maybe I was pessimistic, but I figured they would just dump them all in anyway. So that is kind of surprising. I'm more surprised. So I'm not totally surprised that they're phasing out some of the older ones because in a lot of ways they have been made into games anyway. But I am surprised that like Gen 5 has like, I don't know, 50% of the Pokemon of their Pokemon in the game, which kind of sucks because I think most of those Pokemon suck. So it's like, wow, you brought over the worst generation. And I think most of the other ones are like 30 to 40%. So that's weird. I don't know why that's the case. Maybe those are getting new forms. Again, like Eli, I haven't actually like looked at any of this besides the
Yeah, I didn't want to
percentage.
spoil it myself. One of the big complaints I heard is that a lot of the Pokemon they took out were like Pokemon that people use for competitive gaming. And so on one hand, it's like maybe they took them out so that they could rebalance much easier the new Pokemon that are coming in and like make the competitive scene a lot easier to manage. That would definitely be very nefarious.
It'd be funny if they're just like, you guys are getting too complacent. We're gonna take out all the good ones, and you're gonna have to find something different.
Figure out how to fight with a Caterpie.
Yeah.
Do it. We took out all the evolutionary forms. Figure out.
Nice.
Nah, but I mean, it's just like, disappointing. A lot of people, there was that campaign that ran that had like everyone named their favorite Pokemon, and every single Pokemon had a favorite except for I think 4 Pokemon were not selected by anyone as their favorite. But these are beloved Pokemon for most people, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them, and I get that it's a lot of work to bring them over, and so I definitely understand if they're going to eventually bring them over. But yeah, I mean, you can't help but be disappointed, especially when some of us have spent hundreds of hours completing our Pokedex. I don't know who's crazy enough to do that. Not like I spent all that time when I should have been applying to colleges, catching all of the Pokemon. But some of us did do that, and it'd be nice if Game Freak respected a little bit of our time, which is a little hypocritical to say because by telling them to respect my time, I'm in essence telling them to spend many millions of dollars in time of their own to make these Pokemon for me. But please do that. I mean, your game not just that, but this game is going to be $60. Usually these games are 40, so we're all paying an extra $20 also.
Yeah.
To get less Pokemon. Okay, I just can't stop myself sometimes from how irritating this makes me. But we'll see how the game turns out. Maybe it's a great game.
Maybe. Who knows? I'm looking pretty forward to it. I like the Pokemon that they've shown off. And I was trying to figure out which version I wanted, because they haven't really said much about exclusives like they have with the older Pokemon, which I don't really care about anyway. But for the newer ones, it's just like the Galarian Ponyta and the Farfetch'd and like gyms and stuff. But as far as Pokemon, it was just like those two, and I'm like, you got to have like 5 or 6 more of these suckers. How am I supposed to? I was supposed to figure it out, so I was trying to get some information, and I found out like another new Pokemon, and I thought it was really cool. And it sounds like the Pokemon are also going to be good this gen, which I'm excited for. And I can't wait to play it. I don't really know what else to say on the topic. Did you have anything else to add?
No, I mean, I have not been paying attention to a lot of Pokemon stuff. I didn't want to spoil it for myself. So yeah, I'm relatively out of the loop other than what we saw at E3, in terms of what this game is about. So I'm definitely excited to go in, not knowing much. I mean, it's just going to be weird because they've got this open world element, which is supposed to be like go out, catch all these Pokemon, and I mean, on one hand, it definitely is really cool. And it would be if it were my first time playing Pokemon, that I could just go out, and every time I go out into this open field, they're going to be new Pokemon for me to find and see. But I've just been a spoiled brat and have bought every Pokemon game and have every Pokemon. So when I transfer everything over, it's not really going to matter that I can go out and be like, oh, it's a new Pokemon because I already have it. It's definitely a super entitled viewpoint, but it's not as cool for me as I think it would be if it's your first time playing Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I did forget. I did have 2 of the starters spoiled, so that was fun. Someone liked or replied to another one, and I saw like the preview image was there, and I'm like, well, so much for muting the hashtags. That didn't do anything. And then like someone described another one. I'm like, okay, this sounds terrible. I have to look at it now to see if I have to change my choice, and I did. So I've one left I haven't seen that will hopefully turn out well. But I heard that. Well, I only heard from one person that the starters are kind of disappointing, but the other ones are really good. So, see for that. Guess we'll move on. It would be interesting if they did add all the legendaries, but they also did it in, was it Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, where they had like the weird portals.
So, oh yeah. Well, I think they are having. Okay, well, I don't. I heard from Twitter. So this is. I definitely filtered. Did not filter well on this end, but yeah, I think they're bringing back Ultra Beasts. I don't know what that means because to me, Ultra Beasts were just like legendary Pokemon.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how that plays in. Okay, the next thing on there. So apparently Nintendo's saying they want more 3DS franchises, or not they want, that there will be more 3DS franchises coming to Switch. They want the appeal of handhelds, so also the 3DS owners to come back now that the Switch Lite exists and is a cheaper and smaller format that could probably appeal to them. I don't know what exactly they mean, if they just mean handheld franchises in general or just games that were released on the 3DS that weren't anywhere else or what have you. But what do you think of them bringing some other stuff over?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always good to expose people. I think that some people are want to call sports lazy. I'm not necessarily of that mind. I think that, like, obviously people, we want games to reach as wide an audience as we can. And if there were some hits that were missed by people, then I totally get porting these games. So yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see specifically what they're thinking about, because obviously there's a wide catalog there. But yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't. I was trying to look up. I couldn't find like a comprehensive list to try to go through them all. But and some of them were small. It's like, oh, Advance Wars. It's like, yeah, that's probably never coming back. So let's not count that as a franchise.
Yeah,
But
sad.
a lot of people are saying, and I would agree that Kid Icarus should get a port. I don't. I don't remember if
Sure.
that sold well, but that's like
I
the
I
one
think
game
it
that
sold
would
pretty
probably
well.
deserve like a second shot. Like Super Mario 3D World or all the other ones, it's like, yeah, you probably sold like as much as you could have at the time. So it's like whatever. But that'd be interesting to see some of the smaller games come over to add it. Or maybe even some of the eShop stuff.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, I think Kid Icarus would be a good move. Especially now since there's two whatchamacallit, circle pads.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think the game sold pretty well, but not well enough, I guess, given its quality, because it was a pretty good game.
Yeah. Man, this is more of a mic question, but we'll go on to it. And then the last bit of news I have is Overwatch 2 is coming to the Switch. Uh, there's no date for it for any console. They're just like, I don't know, here it is. Whatever, it's coming sometime in the future. Um, and apparently it wasn't in the trailer, but like some rep or someone of importance mentioned it in a panel, and then apparently it was also on their fact sheet. Um, have you played the original Overwatch, or were you interested in it?
I did play it on PS4. Um, I think that we're boycotting now, right?
I have no idea. I just thought I'd bring it up.
I'm joking, but well, semi-seriously. But yeah, I mean, I played it on PS4. Now that we've got the second one coming out, it's like, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with it. It seems like it's going to be one of those things where it's like a Splatoon type of sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Where it seems like it's kind of the same game, but just new content, I guess. But still at the core the same game. I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't really get it, to be honest, and maybe I think it's so usually with sequels, let's say 10, 20 years ago, whatever, it's basically like if you look at the Crash or Spyro trilogy remakes where it's like these are really old, here's how games were developed in the past. It's like you have your one game and then the sequel is basically the same but just kind of more, and then like the third one is slightly different. So I guess it's kind of like how sequels were, not very different, but because of this not very new world where you have multiplayer online, like I forget what they're called. I guess just consistently online games where they're more services now, where they just keep
Mhm.
updating, like Fortnite or something. It's weird to see like a sequel because it's like, what the heck does that even mean if
Yeah.
if it was always being updated anyway? So like I know they're doing like story missions and like the regular new heroes maps and stuff, but it's like, are they doing anything different with the game that warrants like a whole new game for it to work? And like the sequel will people playing the sequel will be able to play with the originals, so it's like, what is this? Like, is it just an
It seems like the
expansion?
better way to go about this, and the same thing as for FIFA, is just charge like a subscription fee, like a $5 a month
Mm-hmm.
consistent subscription fee to play the game and make it a free to play game. Well, it wouldn't be free to play, it'd be subscription, but like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, but
yeah. We'll see what happens with that. I thought it was weird because it's like Overwatch is coming out on Switch, or did, I forget. I think it was October. It's like now they're announcing this, but this doesn't even have a date. So it's like, I guess they
mhm.
had to because it was BlizzCon, but it also feels like, well, what's the point? Like,
Yeah.
whatever. It is neat that Toronto's getting a location, so I figured I had to mention that. But yeah, no. weird world, and then the
Yeah, I
whole
saw the hype, but yeah, to be clear, we are boycotting. We don't like Blizzard for the time being. Well, I don't like Blizzard for the time being. Matt has his own views. Um,
I don't even know.
I will say my one
I'm
thing
not well.
though.
I'll say this much: I obviously don't like what they're doing. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
about
mean,
boycotting, but
no, yeah, I mean, I don't really buy Blizzard products in general.
me neither.
So
Like
it,
Overwatch would probably be the one game if I was gonna buy anything anyway.
yeah, I mean, I guess I have Overwatch, and I did have the last Diablo game. So I guess since Blizzard puts out so few games, I actually am a pretty consistent customer of them. Um, but you know, I just thought the clause under which they suspended the player, which was like anything which could potentially worsen the image of Blizzard. Man, if that was me, I would find a lawyer. And I don't know, he probably does. Maybe he talked to a lawyer, but that clause is so general, I don't think it's enforceable. That seems crazy. The
How is
idea
that
that,
legal?
yeah,
It's
I mean, it's
basically
just,
like you sneezed and we didn't like the way you sneezed. You're fired
yeah,
and we took your money away.
yeah, it seems like one of two things could happen. Either A, you could say, well, you could argue you didn't break the clause. You like didn't worsen the image of Blizzard.
Sure.
And you could probably argue that because I don't really think it did worsen the image until Blizzard freaked out and and banned him. That's probably what
Yeah.
did the damage.
Yeah.
Uh, and then just the clause is way too general. It doesn't seem like you can enforce it. Anything would fall under that. It seems like way too broad. Exactly, like sneezing, is that going to offend someone? Like,
Yeah.
is the bar that if you offend one person in the entire world, they can take away your prize winnings? Because that seems ridiculous. So yeah, I'm only in my first year of law school, so I don't have all the answers. But one day, I'll be a better source.
It's okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the news. And then we thought Mike was going to jump in. I guess not. But we can go on to what we've been playing. So I guess I'll go because I'll probably be quicker. So at EGLX, to bring it up again, I saw someone had the taiko drum game, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like tangentially interested when I saw it, but I wasn't really interested in paying the price for it at that point. So I thought I'd check it out, and I thought it was pretty fun. Eli played it as well. And at that night, I was hoping to find a game I wanted and buy it, because every time at a convention, maybe it's just me being stupid or the fear of missing out or whatever, but anytime I'm there, I'm like, I want to buy something. This is an excuse to buy something, and then I never find anything. So later that night, I thought, I wonder how much it would cost if I bought this. And then I looked it up, and the drums, if you buy the bundle, it's like over $200, which is
Holy
obviously
crap.
marked up. Yeah, because like the European bundle, and like it's really not selling anymore.
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, well, what if I like bought it individually? I wonder if I could do that. And then I also found out that the game is on sale on the eShop for like 60% off. I'm like, what? what kind of luck is this? So I bought like the drums from like Amazon Japan, which like ships anywhere, thankfully. So I
Hmm.
got that for like $100, and then the game itself I got for like $30, including a bunch of DLC. So I'm like, I got it for half the price if you just bought it online, and probably around the same as originally launched for. So I'm like, good, I'm sold. I'll just take it for that, and I'm having fun with it. I've only played like a dozen songs, maybe, so I don't know how much I can really say
Uh,
about
th-
it.
that
But
still ends up being pretty expensive if you want to play the game.
it
That's
is,
the real way.
but I figured it would be like $100 anyway. Or my thought was, after playing it, I'm like, well, if I could buy it for $100, I'll go for it. And then it's like basically $100. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Because the problem
Hmm.
is, if you're interested, the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be,
Yeah, yeah.
and the more it will cost. So it's like whatever. Um, but yeah, I've been having fun with it. It got frustrating to set up the sound system, sort of, because I have a sound system with my TV, and there's a system built in where you can delay the hit recognition and all that, and long story short, just if you're playing it and you have a sound system, just plug a headphone cable into the Switch headphone jack, and you'll save yourself all the problems. Or the TV. Just don't go through the sound system. It's a pain in the butt. Even I even plugged like the HDMI cable directly into the TV, and that didn't offset it somehow. So I don't know. Just use headphones. Better, whatever. It just works better. Anyway, point is, it's game's pretty fun. It's also hard, just because I'm not really good at when it's like you got to hit 5 notes in a row and it'll like go back and forth. So I'm figuring that out. But you can also use it on the PC, and like there's a whole modding community, so you can download songs that people made, and I even made one of my own, which was pretty fun. So it's got a lot of versatility there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more of that upcoming before Pokemon releases, and then I play absolutely nothing else for a month.
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing. So I'm excited. I'm trying to finish up Astral Chain before Pokemon comes out.
Nice.
But I've actually been playing another game more a lot recently, which is The Outer Worlds, which I probably put in. I started this last weekend. Had actually a decent amount of time this last weekend, so I think I probably played like 12 to 15 hours of it, if not more, over the last week. It's really good. I don't know how much you've heard about it or if you watched the video reviews.
Yeah, I've seen like I think it was Game Informer did like a half an hour playthrough or something like that. So I watched a bit of that.
It's like Mass Effect mixed with Fallout, which is what everyone's been saying. I think it's a little. So a lot of people have been like, it's like Fallout. I think it's more like Mass Effect, to be honest. There definitely is a loot-based element like Fallout, but like I think the character development in the story is definitely more similar to Mass Effect. In that you have a ship, you have crew, you develop relationships with your crew. Like that definitely is something I appreciate. Lots of side quests. I really like the environment. The I like the world, the way it's created. I like that it's not one huge open world, but like 6, 10 or whatever environments, like large maps that you can explore, and they're kind of each have their own qualities and characteristics. So I appreciated that. The one complaint I have about the game, and there's lots of loot and stuff, that's fun. The one complaint I have about the game is that so the backdrop is, there are all these huge corporations. They pretty much own like colonies on different worlds. Everyone's an indentured servant except for your own character. And I appreciate like the dystopian end of capitalism, kind of like here's where capitalism leads us. But sometimes I felt like it was a little bit too too explicit. Like I would have appreciated if it was a little bit more subliminal, to where like you would catch nuances as opposed to, them being like banging over your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like while I appreciated the setting and I thought it was really cool at first, it would have been cool if they had some subtleties. You'd like notice something and be like, oh, that's just like the nature of like the dystopian capitalism that they've drawn out here. But instead, it's just very explicitly like explicit about the problems that it has, and so it felt a little preachy at times because of that. Not that it really ruined the experience, but I think I would have just appreciated the message more if it was a little more subliminal, that you could pick up on. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I love kind of the features where you can really customize your own character, the skills that you have. You can go and shoot everyone up, or you can work on your conversational persuasion skills, whatever, just like a Mass Effect sort of game there. So I definitely recommend the game. Oh, the other big thing is that it runs okay on PS4 while I'm playing on PS4. It runs all right on the PS4 Pro. The loading screens are kind of ridiculous. You get them very frequently, and they become a hindrance, I think, just if you travel too much. And a lot of the times in the side quests, you are jumping from environment to environment via fast travel. And so the loading screens become kind of a hassle. And I just don't understand how this game is going to run on Switch. Like I'm already getting minute-long loading screens multiple times
Mm,
in in succession on a PS4 Pro. How is that going to look like on a Switch? So
yeah, it's gonna be some serious downgrading.
yeah, I mean that's just the one thing.
Sure.
But other than that, I think the game is definitely solid. If you have I think it's free with Game Pass on Xbox One, so definitely play it if it's free. If it's on PS4, still think
Nice.
it's worth getting. Games at Walmart now are $50. So go there and pick one up.
Cool. I was checking out some footage just to jog my memory, and I got an ad for the game in the middle of watching someone's walkthrough for the game.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
some great marketing YouTube. um, yeah. So, what kind of? I know the class, or I saw a bit about the class system where it's like you don't choose a class, you just kind of dump points into like categories, and then you can specialize after. Is there any sort of class that you're aiming for? Like, again, the Game Informer video, someone's run was just dumping all their points into melee so they could just like almost one shot the enemies.
Yeah, I mean, I've been dumping a lot of my points into persuasion and lock picking and hacking. I kind of like appreciate that more. I like accessing like additional areas that you wouldn't be able to if you didn't have those skills. So yeah, I mean, I'm like breaking into people's offices, hacking people's computers, um, having conversations with people instead of ending all conflicts with violence. Um, so I appreciate that. Yeah, I do resort to violence when I have to, but I definitely try to restrain myself. Um, but yeah, I mean, it just depends. I do like the fact with my hacking ability so high, I can like get into any room, any
Nice.
lockbox, just an excessive amount of loot. Some people don't like loot. I definitely like loot a little too much in that I will carry around a crap ton of stuff. And even though I tell myself I don't like going through all this stuff and tossing stuff out I don't need and managing all my items, in reality, I probably do like it. And I like, picking up an excessive number of items. So it works out for me.
Nice. Yeah, it's always interesting to see when games give you stealth, what how much you can actually pull off. And from what I'm hearing of this game, uh, it's pretty detailed. So,
Yeah.
like you said, you can kill pretty much. I think you can kill every character or like nearly every character, and somehow the
Yeah, I
quest will
think
come
that's
around.
right.
So that's pretty
Oh,
cool.
I mean, I do really like the other thing I love about the game is that it really lets you choose. You can be pro-capitalist if you want. It's not like I chose the path where I'm like, let's take down the giant corporations, screw them. But you could definitely go inside of the corporations and do all that too. Like, you don't have to be, this like anarchist, whatever.
Mhm.
And they're definitely give you opportunities. So I did appreciate definitely some of the moral decisions they made. Like there were definitely opportunities for you to either go with like to choose a route to either side of the corporations or even like a smaller side of the corporation, so it's not like it's like kind corporations or whatever you
Mhm.
want to call it.
Benevolent,
So they
maybe.
definitely, yeah, they definitely give you alternative routes if you want to take them.
Nice. Yeah, maybe since you're playing as someone who's more intelligent this round, maybe if you played again, you can be a stupid character. I heard in like one of the interviews that if you dump your points into other stuff and not in intelligence, you'll have like a choice for stupid responses. See
Yeah,
how
I
that
heard
plays
that
out.
too. I heard that you can beat the game in 20 minutes if you are dumb enough.
Wow, that's weird. Didn't was it Fall? No, it was Far Cry. I was thinking of that had if you stayed in one spot at like the beginning in like the first mission of the game, like you would beat it because someone would
Uh-huh.
come by and like do something. But those kind of things are always cool.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I think we'll wrap it up here. You can find me at the Mango Viking on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And Eli, where can people find you?
On Twitter, you can find me at Paul Salon. I write a little bit still on Nintendo Enthusiast. And yeah,
Cool. So wherever you're listening, you can find us at Just Another Castle on pretty much every platform on the internet. Hit us up with your questions, or if you're interested in being a guest at Just Another Castle, or me directly at the Mango Viking. So until next time, leave luck to the heavens and leave gaming to Nintendo.